welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do a review of this Fly Porsche 911 Carrera RS, the personal car it once was of Jensen Button. Now, just for you people who maybe don't know, let's open this first, give you a look at this car. It's always fun opening these. Okay. Now, guys, my opinion on Porsche, I'm sure a few of you know, is Porsche. Of all the Porsches, yes, if it had to be a Porsche, it would be this particular model, the 911. And black's my favourite colour for cars, so yeah, I like this. Now, offer me this or a fully customised Volkswagen Beetle, old style, air-cooled Volkswagen Beetle with the boxer engine, I'd go for the Beetle anytime. Now, I know this is very similar. You know, we're talking the old style engine and everything, but not this particular car. This particular car, the original car, this is a model of a 1973 car, which is very special. It's filled by a 2.7 engine, 2.7 litre engine. Pretty serious engine was in this fabulous car. Now, it looks amazing. Absolutely looks amazing. Now, a little bit of history of Mr. Jensen Button. He was actually the Formula 1 world champion in 2009. And maybe a lot of people don't remember him. He's still racing. He's still racing. He does some endurance stuff. He dabbled in a little bit of NASCAR as well. And he's getting into some new stuff this year, next year. So he's still around. Now, I never remembered much about Jensen. I remember him racing, but in them years, Jordan 2009, I would have been following, firstly, Mark Webber, great Australian driver and a great character. And Barrichello, I always loved Rubens, and Alonso. So they're the guys I would have been watching in that championship rather than Jensen. But fair play, Jensen won. He did the business. And anyway, this is his car. He owned this car for a while. And actually the original car, let me bang up a photo, hold on. The original car was advertised for sale in 20,000, okay? 2012, was offered for 210,000 British pounds. So that's the sort of money that was going for in 2012. Now, it was owned by someone before Jensen, and you know, so it's a. But to buy a car that was owned by a Formula 1 champion, and as beautiful as this, there's a little bit of history of the car. So, one thing about Fly, I have to say, they do beautiful models. Yeah, they do absolutely gorgeous models. Now, I'm going to just take this out, and we're going to have a look at the underneath. And Fly cars are very, very reasonably priced. Probably one of the cheaper cars out there, slot cars. I'd say definitely one of the cheapest. Now, there is a thing with Fly cars. They make beautiful models. But as a slot car, it's like someone took a beautiful model and put a motor into it and put a guide blade on it, you know, a couple of gears, and said, off you go, you now have a slot car. So realistically, they're beautiful looking cars. They look amazing, but they need a bit of fiddling to get them to run right. And I've heard from another well-known YouTuber that they're in talks with someone to make new chassis for their cars. So I think that would be an amazing thing, because it's the chassis that's the problem. The top half of their cars is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, and they make lovely, wonderful looking cars. But as a slot car, they have their problems. So I've run this a bit. You can see I've done a bit of work on the tires. I've tried to get them through. They were very off and bouncy, and you know, you can see. Look at that front tire there, opposite my finger. It's, you know, the tires are interesting to say the least. You know, now they're plastic. You know, you could probably look at that one now on the bottom. You can see the wobble on them. So they don't mount well. So you could probably maybe replace them at a later stage with some wheels from some of our well-known suppliers. Is it Staff Slots? I'm not sure. Staff's Wheels. I know he does a lot of wheels and a lot of people love his products, and he can maybe put something on this, get something to fit this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on. And what I'm going to do is first of all, I'm going to open this car, okay? And I'm going to show you what I have started to do to it. This part falls off very easily. It clips in there. Clips in there. And then that's the screw. Let's see if we can get it to fall off. There we go. Falls off quite easily. So maybe you need a little tiny bit of glue on that. You notice my chrome mirror is gone. That lasted about, I reckon about 10 minutes. Now, as you guys know, I drive my cars hard. There's absolutely no shelf queens. If something is going to be a shelf queen, it'll be a car that'll be given away, you know. If it's too good to be raced, I won't buy it. My cars are bought to be raced. Now you can see, look at, this looks interesting. Harry has been messing about. So I have a weight there. I have some weight inside this area in here. I have a weight. I have some pushy put in there and then a weight on top. All right. Now that's a 5 gram weight. I then have a blue tack stuck here. I'm trying to get as much weight as possible on this guide blade and have a bit of weight at the back as well. Now, being a fly car, the gears are way too tight. They're extremely stiff. I'm going to give you a listen to it now in a minute. And the guide blade, it jumps out very easily off the career track. That's the problem. Now, I'm wondering, can I get a deeper guide blade for fly cars? So there's a question going out to the guys, probably specifically my friend Nico. Nico, do you know if you can get a longer guide blade that has a direct fit for this car? That would be interesting, and it won't jump out so easy. I'll show you it sitting on the track in a while. But one of the first things I have to do is I have to get some of this stuff. I have to get one of these and a bit of this, and I'm going to grind those gears in a little bit using whitening toothpaste. That'll grind those gears in a little bit. I just run that at a few different varying speeds with toothpaste and get them ground in. Then we give it a run around. I'll give it a run around now. Now with the magnet, I've taken the magnet out. With the magnet, the car was absolutely glued to the track. You let off the throttle, it just stops. It goes like this, stop. You know, it's crazy glued. And of course the magnet in the back is absolutely stuck and the front is bouncing up. Now, even with the magnet removed and a good bit of weight at the front, it's still jumping out. It's very easy to jump out of the Carrera track. There's very little there for it to jump out. So it needs more weight, but I don't want to go ridiculous. It'll just get ridiculously heavy. Or I think a new, deeper guide blade would fix my problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the top back on it, and we're going to give it a little run around, and then we're going to grind the gears down, see if there's any difference. And let me just stop here. I'm going to do a recording of this at the moment without grinding the gears in. You can hear that's quite noisy. When you stop, it just stops. There's no give at all. So I'm going to put some toothpaste on that and I'm going to give it a bit of a run and let it grind in them gears a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all my rubbish away and I'm going to give it a quick run on my indoor track because we're down to the low temperatures now in Latvia, so I'll be doing more stuff in the indoor track here. Let me throw the top on this, give it a run. Now just have a little listen to this with the body on, which amplifies the noise from the gears. That's very rough sounding. Let's give it a run around the track. Also, it doesn't, I can drift it, but not much because that guide blade jumps out of the track so easily. So when you get the back end going out a bit, the guide blade jumps out. You can see it drifting around the corner and then there you go, jumped out almost on the straight. So let me just try and get my camera down fairly low. You know, there's very little to keep it in, you know, and it sits and it sort of bounces along, you know, so it's not ideal. Now with the magnets out, it's great fun drifting it. Tires probably need a bit more time on them to grind them down a bit more, to true them a little bit more. That's probably something that needs to be done. Now, let me just put the camera static and get a few shots of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the body off and we're going to try and get this gear to run a little bit nicer. Guys, I'm not in no way an expert tuner. If you want to see guys who are good at tuning, look at some of Slotcar Dude's posts. Nico. Look at Swift Slot. Rob. Go to Harry's channel, Home Racing World. They'd be the guys to go to see tuning videos. How to do this stuff really good, you know. So you'll have to excuse my amateur events, my amateur tuning. But basically you get that. You connect your... This is how I do it. I use a variable power supply, which is from a model railway I had years ago. And it's perfect, because it'll reverse, it'll forward, and it'll give a couple of volts if that's all you want. Now, let me connect this up, and we'll get it running. So I have my power supply wired up to my two blades. I have this raised up a little bit off the track, just on the edge of this plastic container. I have another plastic container with a bit of toothpaste and a little bit of water just to soften it up a bit. Put anything you have on this bit of weight just to stop it from tilting. Shouldn't really do this on the track. You should have a piece of paper underneath it which actually, while we're chatting, I'm going to do now. Hold on a second. Usually you should do this, you know, on a table somewhere with some paper underneath to protect from all the splashing bits of stuff. There we go, that's a better idea. And then what you do is just turn your power supply on. Now, let me show you something, guys. Let me just pick you off this and show you something. You know, this is an example of another reason why the car jumps around and deslots and runs pretty terrible. As I said, did need a lot of work. Do you know what? If this rumor is true and someone comes along and helps them design a better chassis, because they have the model part of it, they have the body part absolutely sorted. Have a look at the rear wheels on this, guys. You can see. Wobbling like crazy. And I've actually threw them wheels a bit, so, you know. Anyway, get your gear running nice and slow. Stick a bit of toothpaste on. Now, that little bit of toothpaste was enough to stop them gears. That's how tight them gears are. So I have to give it a little bit more power. Just until we grind it away a bit, then I'll reduce the power. Look at that. That's how little space we have. Let me zoom in a bit. Now I can leave that running a bit with that little bit of stuff in it, and that'll grind away. If you put straight toothpaste on this, it'll just stop it. The toothpaste is too gritty. Let's try it now. It's already slowly running a bit better. You can hear it slowing down as the new bit of toothpaste goes onto it. Okay, another little bit and just leave it running then. Leave that running. Okay. Now I have that running away in the background. I have it sitting here under the camera, another bit of toothpaste. The minute I put the toothpaste on, you can hear it slowing down. So, just keep doing that. And the good thing is, there's a lovely smell of mint everywhere. It's great. The important thing during this process is tea. Always have your cup of tea. Lovely tea. And just take your time. Just let the power supply. Now I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Let me just go back and show you what I'm doing. So as everything gets a bit worn in and a bit looser, you can hear it starts picking up speed. The gears are beginning to grind down a little bit. Now it'll slow down. And after this, of course, I will clean the gears and I will put a little bit of grease on them. What an amazing smell of toothpaste, guys. Give you a look at this wonderful car. Lovely details inside that car. Driver figure. All the chrome around. The mirror's gone. Broke off very quickly after me racing it around. Lovely front end. Butterfingers. Front end depiction. Absolutely fabulous. Those famous style of front ends with those sloped lights, indicators, everything. The side decals, whatever, you know. But the mirrors, I should say the wipers, and little wipers. everything tiny, little driver's mirror in there. You know, that they do. Fly do an amazing model. We just hope to get the chassis sorted out so when you buy them, you can take them out and just race them. But when they're worked on, they're great little race cars. But, you know, how many people want to buy a car and immediately start working on it? Us guys don't mind. We like to play about. That's why we love our other brands of cars that we have to play about with. And now, the thing is, this Fly car is almost half the price of a lot of the better known higher quality cars, higher spec cars with the, you know, more adjustable and better produced chassis and setup. But, you know, I love Fly cars. They look fabulous. And I keep on meaning to buy another truck. I had a Fly truck years ago. But of course, you're always worried if you get a truck, if it's going to be similar to this, if you're going to have wheels jumping around, not mounted properly, gears way too tight, jumping out of slot. So, you know, some other brands you can buy and they race fantastic straight out of the box. But when it comes to body style, when it comes to the you know, how good they look, Fly make beautiful cars. Absolutely beautiful. Now you notice that's running a lot quicker now, so you can turn this down a bit, which I couldn't do earlier. Couldn't get it to run slow at all. No, that's running a lot slower now. So that's, the gears are already beginning to bind in a little bit. I just might stop it. Not quite, that's okay. Let it run. And it'll pick up, you'll hear it picking up. It'll show off some toothpaste, but it'll also grind in another little bit. Now, I also had this running around my track out in the garage for quite a while. I put it on ghost car mode and I let it run around. But it didn't do anything for the gear, so I think we have to get some paste out. Does people use other types of paste? I think paste for lapping in valves in your real car, that sort of paste would probably do very well for this. But toothpaste is just as good and easier to get, and it smells amazing. You can hear that slowing down every time you put a little bit of flavour on it. And that's what we do. How long do we do it for? I don't know. I'm no expert. You know, I'll do it for as long as I am happy to do it and see what difference it makes. So I'm going to continue doing this, guys. I'm going to pause this, and after maybe an hour of doing this, we'll come back and see if there's any difference at all. After I clean the gears, put a bit of gear grease on. Grease, guys, this is what I use. I got it from Slotcar Union in France. Okay, that's what I use for greasing my gears. So it's made by Slotted X4 grease. That's what I use on my gears. I always use that. And then I have some very lightweight oil, which is actually, I think Tama, the drum producers, make it. Because I used to use that oil for oiling the foot pedal on my drum kit, for oiling the bass drum pedal and the hi-hat pedal on my drum kit. So it's very thin oil, and I use that on my slot car bearings, and it does the trick very nicely. And what I use is toothpicks. I always have a load of toothpicks. With toothpicks you can go down, put a little dab of oil in there. You know, I stick it, I don't use that bottle. That'll squirt way too much oil out in one go, it'll drown the car. So I open the bottle, I stick the toothpick in, you pick up a little drop, just the perfect amount for oiling a bearing. Just tip it on the bearing, oil goes in. So I'll be doing that with this car as well. Now I've already greased these before. I always grease my gears, the pinion and crown gear, I always grease them before I run a car. These have already been greased and oiled, and it made no difference. because you know you need to be a bit more severe when it's this tightly against. It slows right down. And let that run away. Okay guys, come back to you. So I'm still working away on this. Ongoing process. Okay. So I was saying to you guys, we're getting it. We can see we're getting a collection of rather grey, dark coloured toothpaste, and that's just where the process is working. It's grinding away on that black gears, and your toothpaste is going grey with the mix. And yeah. So car tuning. We also have Shane, Slotcar Hub. There's another guy who knows the stuff when it comes to tuning. I'd also recommend check out Shane's channel. And check out our own Dan at Slot Valley Racing. Dan knows a thing or two about tuning cars, especially HO cars. And he's also done some interesting stuff with his Revo slots and tiny little magnets. You'd be surprised. Go and check out that post by Dan. So there's a wealth of knowledge out there, guys. And we should all, you know, subscribe to each other and go and look at all these wonderful folk showing what they can do with these cars. And for me, tuning is pretty basic. Adjusting the screws on my Revo slots, maybe just getting the gears right. Watch out for those tiny little motor adjustment screws on your Revo slots. They're like they're made of cheese. If you tighten them a tiny bit too much, that's it, they're round off. But you can buy packs of them, so it's not the end of the world completely. As long as you can get them back out, you're okay. And yeah, but this is fun. It's part of the hobby, you know. I know there's just people who just want to get a car and they just want to stick it on the track and enjoy it, and that's understandable as well, you know. Especially if you're buying a set for young kids Christmas, you don't need to be doing this, you know. So, and you know, cars that don't run out of the box, you know, they're probably more an enthusiast car. Those guys that know they have to be tuned, you know. So you've producers like Sky Electrics and Carrera, who I have to admit, usually their cars run very well straight out of the box, because these guys are making sets for a mass audience, for a mass collection of people, and you don't want to. You can't have a company selling sets, God knows how many thousand at Christmas, and children opening sets, and the car's just not running right, and then disappointment and people going back with the warranty a week later and saying, "Here, we want our money back. This is terrible." So you will find that Sky Electrics and Carrera usually run very good out of the box. And then we make our choice to remove the magnets and play with weight and adjust things and through the tires and all. But that's our own little play. But in general, they run very well out of the box. And maybe that's why these guys make the sets and some of the other fellas don't make sets, you know. So, just my little thoughts on that subject. Okay, now I'm going to go in and show you the build-up of grey paste. You can see there, I hope, try and focus. There's a gloopy mess going in there, and that's okay. I'm going to wash them gears. And again, speaking of toothpaste, get you focused. I use a little old toothbrush for getting in, cleaning gears. I take them off. This, I will take the axle and the crown gear off. I'll wash it in the sink. I'll use this with some oil to clean all around there, all around the pinion and the motor, get it all clean. And then I will... Now you can already hear, that's not making the racket it made earlier. Definitely a bit quieter than it was. And you can see it'll run a lot slower, which means the gears are not binding as much as they were. which and also means that you can quite easily see how bad them tires are wobbling. You know, you can get an idea of we need some sorting out of our rims, our wheel rims. Now you can't really judge that one because that's kind of confusing with the toothpaste running around on it. But if you look on the outside edge, you'll see that they're wobbling around a fair bit. But like I said, guys, Fly go out at a very fair price and very beautiful model. Okay, I'm going to stop this now, and then I'm going to come back and we put it on the track and see how things are looking and sounding. Now, just to show you what I do with the oil, get my toothpick. Hold on, we'll focus this. Get my toothpick, dip it in. Okay. I need a longer toothpick. And you've literally got one little drip of oil that will be on that. Okay. Then I just put it in there. That's all you need. And that runs into that. That runs into that bushing. Okay. Now do the same on the other side. Get the toothpick, stick it in your oil, tiniest little bit of oil. One drop falls off your toothpick onto the axle and into the bearing or bushing. These are plastic. Again, you know, these cars are very good value for money. Now on the front, interesting situation on the front. Let me just show you this. On these cars, I made oil, I don't need to spill that. On these cars, we don't have any bushings on the front. They just sit in a plastic groove. Yeah, see that plastic groove? They just sit there. So again, if they had bushings, I'm sure it would help things a lot better. But I'll stick a bit of oil on the axle anyway. I'm not sure if you can tell any difference. Have a listen. Let's give it a run around. Now you go back and do this for another hour or half an hour or whatever you feel like, you know, and eventually get them ground down. Maybe I didn't do it long enough. Let's see. You can hear that's quite noisy. Okay, let's have a little listen to this car running around now. You'll notice it's quieter, it's running a bit smoother, and you could go back and spend some more time grinding this down a little bit more, but you notice it's running a bit, it's running on a bit into the corners. You can take off the brake and it'll run into the corner where you haven't got that sudden stopping where the gears are grinding in. So it's a much more well-behaved car. Now, if I could only get those tyres through the bit, I think we'd be in a much better situation. But it's definitely a little bit too much coming out of the corner. It's definitely a different car, guys. You know, so highly recommended. Easy way of doing it. All it needs is a bit of toothpaste. But you know, it's difficult to look through the camera, film, talk and race at the same time. Maybe if I shut up for a minute. But you can see it's much nicer, sweeter, runs more quiet. And that's just half an hour with a bit of toothpaste. And no magnet, and great fun. Just need a little bit of practice just to get my finger in for this particular car. Every car is different. No matter what car you have to adjust. That's why we have practice laps. in slot cars and practice laps in proper racing, in one-to-one racing, because every track is different, every car is different, and everything you do makes a difference to the car. So there we are, guys. That's it. That's that little Jensen Button Porsche 911 Carrera. A lovely car. And this. Okay. Good timing. I'm being called for dinner. So there you go. That's my little thing about this car. It's just I probably went on a bit long. I probably rabbited on a bit. They put me on high speed and flashed me by, and then forget about me. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this post. And I completely appreciate anyone watching, commenting. Love to get new subscribers. It's all part of the fun. And it's nice to know that people are watching the stuff that we do in our Slotcar family. So yeah, and lots of interesting news. Lots of interesting things happening. Lots of exciting live shows. And you got myself and Dan putting out a show every Wednesday. You've Eric Wildman, he puts out a show. Of course, you've got Marty's show. You've got George does a show sometimes. At the moment, he's stopped doing the Monday, but I think he's going to do something else. You have the Australian guys going to start a new live show, I think, every Wednesday, which will probably be added. It'll be a different time to me and Dan's because Australian time is different. It'll probably be afternoon for me here. Whether it's Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday afternoon, I don't know. I'll be watching out for that. So, yeah, we've so much going on. We have all sorts of excitement. So enjoy the hobby, guys, and let's just all get on and have fun together. I'm not forgetting Pete's as well. Oh, you can't forget Pete's live on a Sunday morning. I'm there religiously on Sunday. Do you get it? Boom, boom. I'm there every Sunday for that show. He's taking a break. Took a break this week. But yeah, so, you know, I could go on forever and I'll still miss some people. You know, you've Joe and Pete from the States, from Canada and the States, and you know, they have a show they do. I think it's every second week. There's so much stuff going on. It's endless. I could keep mentioning all the other shows that we have, live shows. Everybody's doing their bit, and everybody's having a chat and a laugh and sharing the knowledge, sharing the fun. Okay, thanks folks, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, always appreciated.